I'm Dr. Benjamin Visger, and what better place than here to remind myself to take my foot off the gas. What I mean is, I was raised in a rather 0 or 60 mentality, meaning I worked hard and then I crashed. I worked hard and then I crashed. And I've seen time and again, many of my patients suffer that same mentality, a flawed mentality really. In fact, if I have a patient who's doing something that's hurting herself and like let's say she's out in the garden for 9 hours a day, and that's a true story, and I even indirectly imply to her she should perhaps maybe cut that back a little bit. The response I get frequently is, well, doc, I can't just sit around all day. So let's examine this. I'll play that by again for you. So a woman's hurting her back. She works in the garden 9 hours a day through spring and summer, and I say, you should probably cut back on that. And she says, doc, I can't sit on my butt all day. Did anyone else hear that I told her to do absolutely nothing? Did anyone else hear in that I commanded her to become inactive and sedentary? No, but I tell you what, that is a daily occurrence in my office. So why would someone possibly react to me by 60 to 0 mentality, meaning they go 60 miles an hour or 0 miles an hour and there's no in between? Well, that's a good question, psychologically and even physically. What I suggest to you is that many of us do not learn moderation. That could be moderation in what we eat, moderation in what we do, things we spend time on. So how many people do you know that will binge a television show and watch an entire season in a single night? Please tell me you've never done more than that. Well, that sort of lack of moderation is a common flaw in our mentality. And now, what's the harm in some of it? Well, you might think that, oh, this is one TV show or it's just a long walk or just finishing the garden up. And you know, once in a while, it's hard to prove there's a problem. It's the mentality, it's the habit, it's the mindset of extremity that leads to destruction. So, is it wrong to spend 9 hours in the garden one time ever? Well, that's, again, very hard to say. You've done yourself a terrible turn. But when you do it all the time and think there's no problem behind it, there it is. Now, it's not just the garden. It could also be a job. It could be a physical job where I work overtime and I'm killing myself. Or it might be some other hobby, maybe a sport, maybe it's at the gym, maybe I want to hit a certain number or win a competition. Well, all those things could suffer from lack of moderation. So why live at 60 and think the only alternative is 0? Sometimes driving 45, sometimes a little hike through the woods is better than a run. So I teach many of my patients, take your foot off the gas. And what I mean is, they've been driving 60 so long, or 90, and they don't know what coasting or cruising feels like. And I'm not saying coasting forever. I never coast long, but sometimes I need to take my foot off the gas, recover, renew, and refresh. And then I can go back to what I need to do or love to do, enjoy it more, and do it better. So, if that sounds like you, then what I say to you is, do you need to keep living at 60 or even 90 miles an hour? And how much more would you enjoy life? How much better would you be at those things you enjoy with a little moderation? And perhaps instead, this applies to someone you know, and you want to lovingly give them a clue. Well, tell them there's this really peaceful nature video where some doctor is wearing his Sunday clothes in the middle of nowhere and wants to talk to you about how fast you drive. I'm Dr. Benjamin Visger, and right now I'm doing about 5.